Hi everyone, this is Jesse Cappuccino of Sashes&Scripts. Today's video is about the recently concluded Binibining Pilipinas pageant. Now, the thing about the results was that there were some polarizing opinions on the queens and the winners in general. And we are here to discuss what are those opinions and what are the things that we thought about the queens and their respective titles. First, we have Hannah Arnold, our Binibining Pilipinas International 2021. Now, we have been following Hannah's pageant journey since 2019, sorry. Ever since she was still handled by Tito Ito until her eventual shifting of camps to Aces and Queens. What we like about Hannah is that she fits the Miss International prototype to a T. And if rumors are to be believed, she is also a supposed favorite of the Miss International organization. Not sure about that though. But that is something, na pwede nating panghawakan dahil hindi malayo na Hannah can close the gap between the Philippines and Venezuela in terms of the most number of wins. What we liked about Hannah winning the title is that she is young enough that should the Miss International pageant be postponed, she would still fit the age requirements for that competition. As you all know, there was a huge issue about the age requirements na itaas nila to 29 and then ibinalik nila to 28, which prompted other Binibining Pilipinas candidates to drop off from the competition. And with Hannah being only around 25 years old, this is perfect because she would still be able to compete should the pageant be postponed again from this year to next year. The only downside though is that Hannah would have to wait for another year to compete if that happens. And up next is our Binibining Pilipinas Grand International Samantha Panilio, who is one of the better communicators in this batch. She actually had one of the best Q&As among the crowned winners this year. I know that some fans feel that her beauty is not as commercial as the other winners, but we have to understand that Samantha's very Filipina look could work for the Bangkok-based pageant. Granted that in terms of height, she might not be among the tallest winners, but we have to understand that Samantha is just an inch shorter than Elizabeth Clancy, who snagged the second runner-up position at the Miss Grand International pageant in 2017. And add to that is the added advantage that the current, the reigning Miss Grand International and the first runner-up for 2020 also came from the same camp as Samantha, which is the Kagandahang Flores camp. So let's not discount those points. And I would also say na there are areas that Samantha will still need to polish. And isa na doon yung kanyang pasarela. Kinakailangan mas fluid yung transitions ng poses niya as well as her facial expressions. However, when it comes to the body, when it comes to a very fierce striking face, Samantha it is not going to be lost in a sea of beauty. The good thing though is that there is no mold on the type of beauty that the Miss Grand International prefers, so that is an added advantage. Now, as for Binibining Pilipinas Intercontinental, Cindy Obenita, I believe that she has one of the strongest, if not one of the best Q&A in her batch. And for a moment there, I thought that she might end up with the Miss International title over Hannah or Maureen. I know that Cindy deserved, the wild card placement that she earned, and we saw how she fought hard to make it into the winner's circle. I do, however, do not see in her yet a international caliber competitor. There is work that needs to be done in terms of beauty, in terms of presentation, in terms of her overall performance. And I think those are things that needs to be addressed as early as now before she steps into the international competition later this October. Um, Cindy needs to have a beauty regimen that would bring out the best in her in terms of her skin and her face, and she needs to work on better styling because right now what I see is that she might be a one-trick pony with the flowy curly hair. I also believe that she needs to nail on a better transition of poses, a better facial expressions when she's on stage, because she's only smiling the entire time on stage. She's not trying to to smize or to be fierce, and that I think is something that she needs to work on, especially with the Miss Intercontinental pageant that, that has a tendency to select more fierce Eurasian beauties. But I think overall Cindy has a good grasp in terms of the Q&A part. We just now need to work on the physical and the performance part of her training for the international competition. Now let's talk about Maureen Montaigne, our Binibining Pilipinas Globe. I know that a lot of fans were expecting that she's going to be the next Binibining Pilipinas International. But I think what happened here is that the age has become an issue because she just turned 28. And if in case that the Miss International competition is postponed for another year, then she might not be able to compete at age 29 next year. Which I think it's unfair that that age has become an issue in pageants, but rules are rules, and there's nothing much that we can do about those things. Maureen arguably is one of the best, if not is the best overall performer among the crown winners. She has a strong Q&A. She did well on the evening gown and the swimsuit rounds, and she has one of the best faces in the competition. However, we still need to point out that there still needs to be some polishing on the walk, and she needs to be more energetic in her presentation, because we saw her swimsuit preliminary presentation to be stronger as compared to her overall performance during the finals. So I think that is something that can easily be glossed over through training. And if Maureen puts her heart into it, she might be the second Miss Globe winner from the Philippines under the Binibining Pilipinas charities organization. In a batch where they are collectively on the average side in terms of the walk and the pasarela, the two runners-up, Gabby and Meiji, stood out because they had the most fluid, the strongest poses, the strongest transitions in terms of performance during the finals. And that is why it was not surprising to see them snagging the best in long gown and the best in swimsuit awards that night. Now the question begs is, why didn't they win any of the crowns at stake? I think the judges this year, perhaps in their deliberation, put more emphasis on the speaking part of the competition. That's why we saw all four winners to be the more fluid when it comes to delivering their answers. I believe that the two runner-ups, however, could have scored one of the titles based on performance alone. Their answers weren't as fluid in delivery as the four other girls, but they were the best in terms of stage performance that night. And I think that is one of the things that needs to be balanced out by the judges in the future, because if we're looking at it on a strategic point of view, I would rather crown someone that is easier to train in terms of being more fluid in communications, rather than train someone who needs more months to hone and perfect the walk. Um, the reason for that is because we only have around 3 to 4 months before the international pageant season, and I think that should have been something that the judges considered during the deliberations. The Q&A can be templated. The answers can be templated. There are pageants who do not put too much emphasis on the speaking part, but rather on the performance part, and that should have been taken into consideration. However, the good thing about that is that for Gabby, being first runner-up, she's still young at age 23 or 24, I believe, to return a year or two later in the pageant. And she should be using her time as the first runner-up to learn how the organization works, so that she can use that to her advantage in her next foray into the Binibining Pilipinas competition. As for Meiji, she's now 27, and I am fearful that if she competes next year, she recompetes next year, she might face the same problem as Maureen, where she might be aging out. That's why I had a hope that she is sent to Miss Grand International this year, where speaking ability is not as a big deal as compared to other international competitions. However, I am glad that all of these front runners, delivered during the finals and showed that they can go head to head with each other. And I'm also glad that the dark horses, competed at the same level as the front runners in the competition. And overall, I believe that the winners this year deserve their placements. There is work to do for those for the queens that needs to polish their presentation and overall performance for the international competition. But training again is a strong suit of the Philippines, so I believe we're not underhanded in that aspect of the competition. That's it from me, guys. I hope you'll be kind in the comments, because this is my first video. And let's see each other again in the next video. Bye!